participating now, at least give me a word that will make an effort towards this. Give me an S if you're gonna do it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When it comes to commitment towards your goals, we categorize children into three categories. Just to make it visually appetizing, put a few colors here: red, amber, and green. People in the red zone are people who have taken up the course due to some peer or parental pressure, why their interest is not getting into IITs, but they may aspire anything else. These are the people who quite easily shift their focus from the task in hand, and there could be some environmental and health reasons why your timeline may get dilated, but then that's out of anyone's control. But whatever is in your control is to tell yourselves that no matter what happened at the beginning of the time, as walk the line and as I wish to go further on this line, or even if you are compelled to go on this line, you better own it up now that it is your choice. It is going to make a lot of difference to people in this red zone. I don't want to have a lot of people in this zone, because as long as you keep telling yourselves that your interests are different, you at least should have the guts of saying it on the people's face and start pursuing them. If you are getting on with the second year course now and you still have this thing back of your mind that something else is my interest, you perhaps are doing no justice to no one. Are you getting my point? Yeah. And people in the amber zone are people who have the intent of getting into IITs and NITs, but they kind of have lost the edge because of various reasons across India now, various kinds of distractions, and maybe it is because of the peer circle that sometimes decidues you off the track. See, there can be 100 reasons why a person can lose track of things, but I believe we shouldn't waste our time talking about these 100 reasons. I believe our discussion will be more worthy if we can talk about at least 2 reasons why we should get back on the track. Don't you think so? Okay. So, see, as I was talking about, you may get dissuaded by your friends, or there can be 100 other reasons, but you should tell yourselves that now is the time for you to reconcile with whatever has gone wrong. Do a lot of introspection and then act accordingly, implement the corrections required, that we fall in this green zone where each of us have a deal of commitment towards things which you will be taking up in the upcoming year. Okay. It is very important that all of you make this as a conscious choice. See, it is often that we stand a lot of retrospection. We have a lot of people around us who advise. Perhaps as I'm giving you a narration today, I also seem to be advising you a lot of things. I am perhaps doing it out of my comfort zone. I really don't want to. Whatever I'm trying to tell you now, you better don't take it as some advice. I want you to take it as a few things over which you can ponder for the weekend, a little food for thought, and make your choices. Because only when you introspect, can someone tell me the difference between introspection and retrospection? Come on, feel free to pitch in. Anyone?
Introspection is looking forward and thinking
thinking about your current situation, thinking about the present and how the future can be better. Retrospection is looking back and seeing what could have been better.
No, it is not so. Introspection is maybe when you talk about or when you think about the deeds of yours all by yourselves, when you interpret your actions, when you interpret your line of thought, when you interpret your work culture for yourselves, and it basically is kind of self-reflection. Retrospection is basically someone else doing the same things for you. When someone else is critically evaluating you, when someone else reflects things for you, when someone else plays a role in making you realize your deeds, that's retrospection. What we want now is each of us to introspect, because only when I reflect my work and I develop an understanding of the causality of things, only then will I be able to come up with an action plan that will make me better in the upcoming days. ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ಅಥವಾ ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಮೇಷ್ಟ್ರು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸಾವಿರ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ನೀನ್ ಹಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಹಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ನೀನ್ ಅದ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ ತಪ್ಪು, ಇದ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ ತಪ್ಪು, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ವರಗಳೇ. ನನಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ನಾನು ಇದ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ ಸರಿ, ನಾನು ಇದ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ ತಪ್ಪು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ರಿಯಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಡಿಡ್ went right or went wrong, then I will have a better sense of control over my life. Alva Rapa?
Yes, sir.
Right. You people are long out of your kindergarten and your diapers. You are not kids anymore. So, you are grown up children. And do you think 100 people around you should tell 100 things that you should be doing and you shouldn't be doing even at this age for you?
No, sir.
If you believe yourself to be a grown up person, goddamn start behaving like that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So being nincompoopish is no fun at all. Seeking intellectual platforms higher and higher by the day is what makes you a profound being. And I want each of you to be very beautiful, wonderful souls, very constructive ones. Can you tell me at least that you will be making an effort towards it?
We will be safe, sir.
Yes, sir. That's a good thing to listen to. Okay, this is the graph of student of the institute who made it to IIT Madras in 2019. And what you see is, though there were instances when the graph went up and down, the overall nature of the graph is growing. What I'm asking you is perhaps try and achieve this. I understand it is very difficult to be highly consistent with your performance across all the tests that are conducted in the upcoming year. I understand there are sometimes you will be doing better and there are times when you may not be able to for a number of reasons. But even if there are times when you funnel down, you also should find a way to get siphoned up. That's it. Going up a few times, descending down a few times is part of the journey. But if I do not seek a higher platform, if I do not siphon up to a higher place time after time, I will, to begin with all the things, let myself down, and I shouldn't do it. As an individual, it is very important for us to always be very dedicated to what we aspire for. Just talking casually, if I aim to become an astronomer, I perhaps should converge all my interests to do it. But the circumstances and the general environment in the country is very diluted. Most of the times we have a plan, a backup plan, a backup plan, a backup plan, and so on and so forth. Believe me, a plan and a backup plan is all that you should have. A backup plan is no plan at all. So having too many backup plans is equivalent of not planning at all. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So once you have a plan and a backup plan, your timeline, your work culture, the quantum of the work to be done, all of these things get exceptionally well defined. They'll be very clear. There'll be no ambiguity in things. And then all that is required is for you to put in that work and adhere to that work culture. Each of you are here across the last 1 year have interacted with your faculty. There have been a lot of parent-teacher meetings that were conducted, and then you also would have spoken to your faculty. And I'm sure each of you by now would have found one or the other person whom you can reach out to and get some assistance from. Now is the time for you to seek out some assistance to put a very healthy work culture in place, to define the timeline, to define the course of action, and please consider doing it. Will you?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Okay, going further. When it comes to comprehensive procedure, there are a bunch of things listed here. Okay, learning in the classroom, pre-class preparation, interaction in the classroom, post-class work, learning sequence, concept learning. Yep.
I do not think we've ever been provided with DPPs.
You will be. Daily practice problems previously was given as a workbook. This year, for the upcoming year, we have planned to give you DPPs periodically. It will be done. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. So, self-assessment tests will be provided. All the test analysis will be given to you. Remedy and enhancement is something that you should do having consulted your faculty or your mentors. Okay. See, just to round off things in the slide, sitting in a classroom with no idea of what will be discussed is a less efficient way of conducting the class than each of you having read the literature of the content to be discussed in class. Even if it is just vocabulary you pick up and you read it for yourselves, it's going to put you a couple of steps ahead of a person who sits in the class with no knowledge of what is going to go on. Okay, so you people know the language of instruction, you know the medium of instruction, you are literates. Even if you do not have an aptitude to interpret things by yourself, maybe some of these concepts may require some assistance with regard to be able to interpret it. But then, at least reading up the literature is going to make a lot of difference, because having a certain degree of acquaintance with what is going to be discussed is better than being in the classroom with no idea of what is going on. Okay, so please, even if it is an affair of picking up new words, do it. Read, because you have a set line of a set sequence, a set chronology of subject discussion. So you will know for sure what will be the next topic that will be discussed the upcoming day, and spend some half an hour every day just to glance through the first few articles in that regard. It is not that you should digest everything for yourselves and come with a thorough knowledge of things into the classroom. Obviously, we are here to teach you, we'll do it. But having some pretext to what will be done is gonna give you a lot of comfort. It's gonna perhaps be very blanketing in the classroom. Okay, please try and inculcate that in your work culture. And what is equally important is post-class work. See, if I spend teaching a concept, say an hour or so, then this calls for almost the same amount of time, or perhaps 1.5 to 2 times of that time for you to realize things for yourselves. See, learning is not equal to understanding, and understanding is not equal to ability to apply. Okay, because the way it was in your high school was very different. The chronology, or rather the methodology in your high school was to remember, understand, and reproduce. Even if you look at the way you were tested in your high school, that was how it was. Okay, you were expected to remember things, you were expected to understand a few of these, and you were expected to reproduce everything that you remembered. Or rather, it was mostly memory oriented. But now the things will be very different. If you're looking at doing good in competitive exam, remembering and understanding is still part of things, but it simply doesn't end there. It simply doesn't end with reproducing things. Now we should perhaps look at a different sequencing. You should remember, you should understand, you should apply, you should analyze, you should evaluate, and you should create. Okay, so this flow of things is something called as Bloom's taxonomy. I do not know how many of you have kind of stumbled upon this, but this is the way to pursue sciences going further in your graduation as well, starting from now. Okay, you should get out of this vicious cycle of remember, understand, and reproduce, and put a lot of other components on the rim. You should remember, understand, analyze, apply perhaps first, then analyze, evaluate, and create. So if you keep doing it, I am sure you will be able to be more proficient with whatever you learn and do in the upcoming days. Okay, and there are some basic etiquettes, because for now we will be having the course online. Having taught online for years now, and last year mostly the entire course was conducted online, what I come to realize is most of you have not followed a very healthy classroom practice. And generally the attendance used to be 3/4 of the strength, and some of you were not attentive over the online sessions. See, just because the mode of reaching out is different under the present circumstances, your intent of learning should not get diluted. To tell me a thing, did teachers who taught you be any different in classrooms in comparison to the way the subject was taught in online mode?
They were the same, sir.
They were the same. Then why is it that you have differential treatment to things? Why is it that you people have bifurcated things and have received things differently? I understand the comfort of classroom is something to crave for. Given a chance, I always will like to get into a classroom, get my hand dirty, and goddamn talk to people, talk about the subject or at the subject in person. But the present situation doesn't warrant such comfort. So we will have to, until the situation is appropriate, go online. And then just because it is being done online, it's not that I teach the subject with any less grit. And if that is true, you shouldn't be any less grateful in learning it. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Please make sure you have a little of voltage. It is necessary for us to have a little of zeal now. Okay, I understand at your age, there are a multitude of diversions, a multitude of reasons why you may get wild away. There are a multitude of things in your mind. It's a very chemical heart at your age. You are in adolescence. I understand, your peer circle is composed of a multitude of characters. There are people who talk about it as very cool to not to be very kind or studious. Let me just tell you that it is bull crap. There is no fancy in goddamn undermining yourselves. There is no fancy in underplaying yourselves. Okay, so all this brash attitude of yours is not gonna fly. Okay, there's no point in goddamn being very casual with things. See, it's very important for us to seek a lot of joy, but if the joy comes at the cost of your own future, believe me, it is no joy at all. Basically, it is an affair of shooting into your own body, and that's not a thing that you should be doing. Okay, so Murphy's law tells us that if it is meant to go wrong, it for sure will go wrong, but you shouldn't drive it wrong. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Allah video, oh, it is very cool. I did not study, man. I wrote that. I wrote this. I see. I have been through that, and you know, I being from a very casual student to being an academic was quite a transition for myself. And believe me, it is quite foolish. Okay, it is very foolish to envy such attitude. Okay, make sure you tell yourselves a lot of good things and stop patronizing people. I don't want you people to patronize and idealize people because it's not gonna work. Okay, so if all the people who advise you had incorporated those advices for themselves, would have done exceptionally well in life, wouldn't they?
It was.
They would have,
Yes. So advising without experiencing is a waste of time, and advising itself is a waste of time. So all that I'm asking you to do is think for yourselves and come up with something that is gonna make a difference to you. Forget everyone else. Okay. And please be interactive, because this is something that I myself have experienced. I have taught more than let's say 500-600 hours online in last 10 months, and what I've realized is when people do not interact, it becomes very monotonous for the subject teacher, because there were times I literally felt like flamming my laptop off and got done concluding the session because people weren't interacting, and there were occasions where I literally had to call off problem solving sessions because no one interacted. It is very disheartening for anyone of our fellow faculty to do so, because interaction is what is gonna make a difference to us. See, you are past that age where teacher taught and you learned. You are in an age where both of us, I the teacher and you the student, work together to make a difference. Are you understanding the change in the paradigm?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So teacher is a fallible entity. There can be times when a teacher may miss out. There can be times when things can go wrong. But if we work actively, if we work as a group, it will be a more meaningful affair. Okay. So you people should start behaving like intellectuals in budding. You should stop being nincompoops. Okay. Let's see this cocoon of mediocrity that is built around you in your high school is something that you should shed for sure. I do not have a problem with mediocrity, but getting cocooned into it is a very wrong thing to do. Arvindappa?
Yes, sir.
And I believe that a teacher should progressively become unnecessary in a classroom. Okay, this is not my statement, though it was Professor Abdul Kalam, the ex-president of the country, who quoted this in his book, The Indomitable Spirits, where he says that a teacher is a person who progressively becomes unnecessary in a classroom. That basically means each of you should become self-learners, and a teacher who is inside of the classroom should become a tool, a means of achieving higher aspirations in life. Okay, if you start looking at your teachers as infallible entities, you start envying them, if you start patronizing them, you will never learn from them. Okay, change your attitudes towards things, seek knowledge, question to learn. Questions should be inquiry, but unfortunately our households and our academic system that have lasted for all these years in your life have reflected very wrong things to you. Most of the times we question to ridicule, most of the times we talk to condemn. Now that shouldn't be the way. Look at everything in a constructive fashion, okay, and make sure anyone's requirement to accomplish anything in life becomes progressively lesser and lesser, because as long as you believe that someone should come and teach you, as long as you believe that someone should enskill you, as long as you believe that you are entitled, you won't accomplish. The moment you start looking at the same set of facilities as fortunes or as assistance offered, then you will find the utility of these things, and perhaps in a fresh mind and in a better perspective. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, see, confidence is something that is not grown in a pot, neither sold off a shelf. It comes to you with you working on a regular basis towards your target. Okay, so ups and downs will always be there, as I was telling you previously. Just make sure, even if it is an inch that you edge ahead, do it. Just don't say that it is just an inch and then stay back in your place with the thought of for a later date plunging way ahead. It won't happen like that. Okay, so the growth in life always is inched up. There are very few times when you get platforms off which you can plunge yourselves a little above, but most of the times it grows inch by inch. Okay, so believe me, even if it is a very small growth that you will accomplish, you should do it on a daily basis. Okay, what is very important is to on a daily basis have a little sense of accomplishment. I thought it's very important, and please give your best. These are the things over here in the present slide. The content of it is something that I perhaps have been talking consistently about. Avendra,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
See, a sense of accomplishment is something that's gonna make a lot of difference to you. On a daily basis, if I can define a certain quantum of work for myself with utmost clarity, pursue the same, irrespective of whether I accomplish it a 10% or not, there'll still be a sense of accomplishment. There'll be a sense of having done something, a little sense of satisfaction. This resonates, okay? This resonates into something bigger. This gets, condensed into something magnanimous. Okay, on a daily basis, if you let yourselves down, a sense of an accomplishment or a sense of incompletion left behind will find a thread of its own and perhaps will lose your mind out. It shouldn't be so. A sense of accomplishment, on the other hand, will broaden your perspectives. A sense of fulfillment on a daily basis, a sense of completion on a daily basis will widen up your horizons. You will look out for a lot of new things. You will aspire for a lot of new things. Your mind will be now capable of accommodating a lot of new things, and that perhaps is the way to grow in life and in academics as well. Okay, so a sense of accomplishment is gonna do a lot of good to you, and try and earn it on a daily basis. By the end of the day, when you got done hit your beds, I want each of you to have a little of accomplishment, a sense of accomplishment, a little sense of satisfaction, a little sense of completion, a little sense of fulfillment, and a hell lot of exhaustion. And that's when those 6 or 7 hours of sleep that you get will be very sound, and you will get up the next day with a sense of regeneration. Understanding me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at an individual level, if it helps, I want you people to put up your thoughts and aims on a sheet of paper and pin it on your wall so that it serves you as a constant reminder. Okay. Some of you can write it in your diaries, and some of you may prefer to just bear it in your minds. Whatever works for you, please do it. If you're a person who loses sight of things once in a while, it's better there is something that always drives you back on path. Maybe something as simple as what I should achieve. If it's on the board and if I keep looking at it, it possibly will serve as a means of finding my way back. So at your individual level, please define these things and put it somewhere down, put it on somewhere, so that once in a while you will look at it and then always pull yourselves back to the line and then pull yourselves back to the track if you in case squander away a little out of it. Okay, do whatever best suits you. Okay, this again is rhetorical. I'm sure these are the things that would have been explained to a few times now. Several of these instances, whenever people have found time, they have told these things. So there are 89 chapters from physics, chemistry, and mathematics all put together. Okay. What should there are questions to be asked here. What should be the level of expertise that I should have in each of these chapters? You should prioritize. If you are looking at just making a cut, then there are times you can drop a few chapters, concentrate on a few. If you are looking at getting a very good rank, you should be proficient with more and more number of chapters, and then categorically quantify your work required to be good and do good in advanced mains and board examinations. Though the subject content is not any different, the rigor of learning, the mathematical rigor of the subject pursued will be different, and across the next year when the subject is being taught, people will highlight you about the difference in these levels required for both mains and advanced, and make sure you give a conscious listening to each of these times when people talk about a single topic or a single subtopic, but dealt at different complexity levels. Because see, something as simple as Newton's laws will stand a more profound interpretation the moment you learn calculus. You would have learned Newton's laws in your high school as well, when though the statement did not change, the mathematical representation of it was very different. Can someone just state second law of motion for me?
The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the magnitude of the force applied when this change takes place in the direction of the force.
Yeah, so exactly proportional to the force applied. And in your high school, the mathematical representation for it was to say that force is equal to mass times acceleration, isn't so?
Yes, sir.
But with you learning calculus, the same statement had now a more profound interpretation. Now, force vectorially could have now be equated to mass times of change in velocity plus velocity times of rate of change in mass. Correct? So we would write that F is equal to m into dv by dt plus v into dm by dt in Bharatiya. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, the law is not any different. It is just that with you picking up mathematical tools of higher order, you will stand a chance to more profoundly interpret the same principles in nature. So across next year as well, I don't think you'll be learning anything new. I don't think you will be learning anything extraterrestrial. It is not alien for sure. You will still learn the same subject. You will still learn the same principles of science that perhaps you have an acquaintance with. But just because you have picked up a lot of mathematical tools across the year now, you will have a chance to interpret it in a more general way. Okay, so your learning should always be like this, whether it is chemistry, physics or mathematics. There always is some literature. The literature is indifferent to the interpreters. The Newton's laws, when taught in high school or when taught in a graduation school, cannot be any different. The literature is same, isn't so?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
interpretation will change for the reason that with better mathematical tools, you always stand for a better interpretation. So look at things like that. There is literature, there is mathematical modeling. Okay, even in maths it is so. There is some literature and then there is symbolic representation. Okay, so that symbolic representation is what we regard to as mathematical modeling. Okay, so it's very important for us to appreciate subject in this regard, because only then I'll be able to correlate things in a larger web. See, at the end of the day, no question that is asked in any competitive exam calls for application of something that you haven't learned. It is just that when you learn things, you fail to connect the dots. Though you know calculus, when it comes to applying it in a problem in physics, you kind of have a sense of hesitation. You kind of let yourself down because you never look at connecting these dots. That shouldn't be so. Okay, so always look at the literature, the mathematical model. The literature, the mathematical model, and I'm sure this way of looking at the subject is gonna do a lot of good to you. Will you make an effort?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please do. Okay. And how should I learn each chapter? This is the chronology that's there on the screen now. Learn the concept, acquire performance abilities, self-assessment, and then take the remedial action, and then keep on turning this wheel. If these four components are on the rim of a wheel, this wheel should continuously turn throughout the academic year. And please make sure you keep it rolling, will you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So tracking your progress is a very important thing. Test on test we will detail out and then give you test analysis. Even the last year you were provided with test analysis. It was sent to you on emails. I do not know if all of you were continuously monitoring it, but at least for the upcoming year, make sure you continuously monitor it, will you?
Yes, sir.
And seek guidance whenever you require a course correction. Talk to your mentors, talk to your fellow faculty, and then I'm sure people will be able to able to give you some assistance, and I'm sure they'll be of some assistance to you. Okay. So you have an edge here because you are working with a system that has a successful track record. We have put in place and practice a proven training methodology. All the faculty are full-time and therefore are always available for you to interact with. Okay. Comprehensive courses will be provided to you, and additional learning support will be there. There are mentors whom you can reach out to for any assistance. Periodic counselings will be conducted, and then this year we'll get daily practice problems so that you perhaps that way of fortune that we are offering things to you on a platter. You do not even have to go and look out for extra work. We will get the work to you. Just make sure you do it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mentoring is something that I really don't want to hold you back on, because putting it in practice is more important thing than narrating what is what. The slide up here provides you a lot of details, and make sure you consciously are a part of the process. Make sure you speak to your mentors periodically and make sure you're obedient to them, because your subject teachers most of the times will not have a lot of leisure to track your performance on all the subjects. They may know how you are doing in their subject, but mentors are the only people who will have a thorough idea of things, because they'll have your paintings on larger canvas. They will know your performance in all the subjects, so they'll have the cumulative performance records with them. And if they advise you something, please give them a mindful listening and try and incorporate any corrections suggested by them. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. And it's very important for each of you to have a good learning environment. We at the institution will make sure the environment is absolutely academic. And one thing that I request parents, if we have parents listening into the meeting today, do we have parents? If I have parents listening in, I want them to give me an yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See, now is the time that we offer our children a seamless environment, because generally what happens is there will be substantial difference in the environment at the institution to the environment at home. If the change is of a greater magnitude, if there is a huge difference in the environments at home and at institution, a child will waste a lot of time in reacclimatizing between the environments. So giving them a seamless environment is very important, and this will be possible only if the parent community remains in constant touch with the faculty members and the mentors. I understand all of you parents have your own set of responsibilities to disburse. But this year for these chaps is very important, and it is our responsibility that we together as a community of teachers and parents offer our children a seamless environment where all their energies are concentrated or converged over learning and doing better, but not on adjusting and readjusting between things. Please, as a request, take it up and make sure that each of you parents periodically interact with the institution and be an active part of the child's learning. Can I have an S if all of us concur here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so these are the proposed dates for commencement and conclusion of the course. 10th of May, that's 2 days from now is when the course commences, and on 19th of December we will be concluding your teaching, subject teaching. That's when the entire syllabus will be taught by them. You will have to begin with 3 sessions of 1.5 hours each, where physics, chemistry and mathematics subjects will be dealt. Okay. Detailed LCS will be given to you. It's in the information booklet, and access to online sessions will be enabled only for students who have finished admission formalities. Now that's a very important thing, because what we are commencing with now is your IIT JEE training program. All the college level activities will be conducted only after the PU department's directive. So make sure all the admission formalities for the IIT course is completed. Okay, I understand it's a very stressful year, but all the resources that are offered to you come at a cost, and all of us are working very hard to make sure we reach out to you in good strength and in good sense. Please enable us to do it. And it's a very important thing, because the course is going to commence 2 days from now, and the timeline is very short, and if there are people who have not completed admission formalities, it's a
Sir,
request
can
from
it be
you.
the same thing for track 1 and track 2?
Pardon? Yeah, you will get a...
And will the track 1 and track 2 each be for 3 days continuously, or one day?
You will get the scheduling. It depends on the schedule and timetabling.
Sir, and where do we look for the LCS once it's given out? In the announcement section?
It will be in the announcement section.
Okay, sir.
Sir, what is the information booklet?
Last year you would have got a copy of a book detailing out on the lecture sequence in each subject, the schedule of tests and stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe this year you may not be able to collect it from the office, but the soft copy of the same will be uploaded on the website. Please make sure you just download it and go through it.
Alongside this IIT JEE second year course new program, so are we going to continue the teaching for that first year the class exams, the PU's board state board class exams? It's cancelled. It's cancelled, right?
It's cancelled, sir.
Cancelled. So you are going to start straight away this second year syllabus.
Yes. And except for 2 chapters, I suppose the first year syllabus is completely done with. And these 2 chapters were taken up to be taught now because of the natural flow of the subject content with some of the second year topics. But anyways, in fact, in our program we have not even looked at the compromise syllabus. We have done cover to cover as per the regular course order, because in competitive exams you should learn everything. There was few chapters and they were that was shut out of the syllabus, and there were some compromises done on the level of subject discussion for board level requirements. But in IIT classrooms we have made sure we have not cut short of anything. I suppose all my students can agree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
there is just an because people trying for IT. We cannot work with a diluted framework because the exam syllabus is not compromised with. The syllabus for JEE mains and advanced still remains the same as it was 2 years ago. So we still will have to do everything. And just bear in mind that even in upcoming year we will do everything. It's covered with the reduced syllabus. Okay.
So this is Bhumika and I'm a mother. I just need to know, there are certain portions that were covered in first year, and as we are starting second year and we start with rigor, that's good sir, but the worry is in first year there are parts and pockets that maybe may have lasted few weeks and maybe couple of months where we do not pay that much attention in certain topics. I just want to understand the relevance of those topics in when we say completion and you're saying year to year, the relevance of those topics in the second year syllabus and as far as the exams are concerned, what is the strategy you would recommend for catch up?
See, pertaining to bridging the gap that was created because of students being a little less attentful, we did have a round of revision before we the entire month of April was invested in revising the fundamentals of first year. We did take up problem solving sessions, and before we took up problems we also gave a brief synopsis. I'm sure at least by now children have a certain degree of acquaintance, if not a great deal of proficiency. What can be done is next year when we take up the course, we look at solving as many multi-concept problems as possible, so that wherever it is possible we invoke the concepts of last year. It is very relevant, and when it comes to relevance of things, it is very relevant because in competitive exams generally around 60% of the questions will be from first year syllabus, because first year syllabus is
It's a foundation.
the fundamentals on which second year topics are based off. It's not that second year topics cannot be learned with the reference without the reference of the first year, but you will not be able to build good mathematical models. All the mathematical models that we build this year will have something to do with a concept or two learned in the first year course. So there is constant invoking of first year topics, and if a child can spare out at least 6 to 7 hours on a weekly basis to revise fundamentals from the first year, I believe things will get streamlined in 2 to 3 months of time. I understand when fresh chapters are being taught, a child may not have time to go back and revise things from first year, but if a child can realize that there is a lot of similarity in the mathematical models used. That's why in the middle of my conversation I was talking about appreciating the subject in the context of its literature and mathematical models. What you find this year is there are times when we borrow the idea of things, the idea of the way things were modeled mathematically last year pertaining to a few subjects and a few topics, and apply it this year now here. And if the child can just connect the dots, I believe this issue gets addressed.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. So,
Sir,
yes.
sir, there are some topics in first year whose only PU part was covered, like gravitation. So will it be covered first year?
Gravitation will be the first topic that will be discussed in track 1 of your second year course in good detail. That way even waves was not dealt completely here, because gravitation, gravitation and electrostatics have similar mathematical model, okay, and it will be very effective if you learn these two things simultaneously, because then you will realize that you do not have to explicitly spend time working on these two topics separately. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it will be done, don't worry. Okay. Study materials will be provided right up front. If it is not possible for you to collect things because of the present situation, the soft copies of this will be uploaded. Make sure you download them and then use them until there is a chance for you to collect the books in the institution. Okay. periodic tests will be conducted, test schedules will be given to you in advance. Make sure test on test you document your performance. The performance will be shared with you with all the statistical analysis done, and periodically consult with your mentors and the faculty to better your performance, and make sure this becomes a regular work culture. Okay, and additional support will be provided to you. Synopsis on all the chapters will be made available to you. Problem sets involving both subjective and objective ones part of every module given to you. Test and test will also have paper discussion, so that you get a chance to immediately realize your mistakes if you have done any in the preceding tests. And by the end of the year, you will get additional support for other competitive exams such as CET, KBPY, IAPT, KMO tests. So all of the support that you require for various multitude of examinations will be made available to you. And by the end of the academic year, we are also thinking of having a national level test series in conjugation with students. So basically, Resonance has its operation in around 22 different cities in the country, and then they have roughly some 60,000 students. So we will administer the same test series as they do, so that we also get a fair deal of hold or measure on how the things have gone for the year. Okay, so this is what is planned out in terms of additional support for the upcoming year, and you will be advanced. You will be intimated well in advance pertaining to any of these things, and make sure you utilize all of these. Okay, and then parents' role is something that is going to make a lot of difference this year, because still the situation is not very rosy for us to get back to regular classrooms. So as the child spends most of the time at home, as I was previously talking about it, it becomes very important that both the parent and the teacher community works hand in hand, in sync, so that the child gets the benefit of things. And there are a few things I'm sure all of you will be doing, and then please make sure your participation is regular, and maintaining periodic contact with teachers is very important in this regard. Here are some results of base last year, so you can just have a go through at this slide. We are getting very good results, and perhaps we are doing far better than all the institutions in the state put together. We have a record of producing more number of IITians and NITians from the state than all the other institutions in the state put together, even if these institutions are national players. Okay, and there were times when people asked us if children preparing for JEE Mains and Advanced can do good at CET, or will they require any different mode of preparation or different assistance for it, and the answer is actually no. As you see, around 66 of our students from IIT classrooms made it 1 in 500. Now that's a very good performance, and most of our students generally make it very good in CET as well. It's all about scaling, because the level of complexity at CET is much lesser. You will be, as and when the subject is taught, told about the level of complexity for each of these exams, and make sure you pay attention and never lose sight of things. There is a clear demarcation, because what is the subject matter remains the same, but the rigor will vary, and all that is there. Sometimes the rigor varies at a subtopic level, and whenever there is a requirement for the faculty to highlight the differential treatment required for different exams, it will be told in the class. The faculty will definitely emphasize over the things, and please give a thorough listening. Okay. That's all I had to talk about today. Now the space is open for any queries.
Sir, one question, sir. So last year we have noticed multiple batches are combined, and it was a huge set of students combined together. So at least this year, do we have any plans to split that into batches and pay more attention on this aspect?
Yes, done, madam. Last year, I want you people to understand that there was huge logistic and technology issues. We had to mobilize lot of resources at a very short notice of time, because of which we had to kind of, for brief files, merge the batches. But this year, right from the onset of the course, each batch will be handled by a separate faculty.
Thank you so much, sir, because that gives a major difference in terms of their focus also and interaction with the teachers as well. So that will help, sir. Thank you so much.
It will be done, madam.
Thanks for the session. It was very helpful. And just to continue on the previous question, so will the faculty be the same set of people who are there for the first year?
No, the set of faculty will be different. So I suppose by evening today you will know who the set of new faculty are.
Thank you.
Sir, this is Sunil. I'm a parent. I know that the syllabus are huge and you need a lot of time to deliver the sessions and also for the students also to prepare for it. But with this pandemic happening and with online happening, there's too much of pressure also on them. So my request is, can there be a small break given in between the sessions, or maybe once in 3 weeks or something, like maybe a day or two, for them also to assimilate and get to a proper schedule?
We'll definitely consider the things. We will make sure there is a little of leisure given to them whenever it is possible. I'm not going to tell you that it will be a very comfortable journey, because believe me, it will not be. Even if it was a regular time and even if it was regular classrooms, I don't think these children would have had a lot of leisure. I understand children require a couple of days once in a while to reconcile, but what also should be looked at is we are training for a national level entrance exam, where people, and most of the people, especially in these concentrated coaching places such as Kota, spend almost 3 years doing the same thing, having diluted at no point. So for this year, you will, all the children have to walk out of your comfort zones. But you're not alone. All of us, all the faculty and then the mentors are with you. If you once in a while feel like talking to someone, this is for students, if you want someone to unwind with, please reach out, and please look at your faculty as fellow people. Okay, the atmosphere of being afraid of your teachers is done with. In high school, there used to be this line that was very bold and thick, that you couldn't walk along with your teachers. But now it is not like. I really don't want to treat my students as some pure little entities who only should listen to me. So reach out to your teachers, reach out to your mentors, talk to them, and then start being grown-up children. And really, once you start, most of the times you get issues, or you get loose, or you get bottlenecked because you build up a lot of things without interacting with people. And I believe if each of you talk to your parents, talk to your teachers, talk to your mentors periodically, and then take a little burden off your shoulders, I believe you will not require a lot of leisure to reconcile.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Sir, in the previous session that the parent-teacher connect, we were able to connect with one faculty. Is there a possibility that we could connect across, because we do have certain concerns specific to subjects, and maybe that one person, one faculty may not be able to help us in the others?
I understand that. In case you have a specific query to be made with regard to a particular subject teacher, you always can express your concern with the mentor or any admin person. He or she will make sure you have an appointment with the corresponding subject teacher. That can be done. Just inform someone at the office that this should be done, and then they'll connect you for sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, is there anything?
So I have a question. See, if in case, generally students who are performing good, they've been asked less, but who are performing not really good and they're consistently performing lower. Are there any specific attention given to them, and look at the people what exactly is going wrong? What is the effort going to be put bringing in par with the other students? Is there anything like that, close monitoring of students?
Sir, there is a defined system put in place to notify every child of its performance. It is done periodically, and there also is a support structure for students who are not doing well. But we want the students to take the ownership and reach out, because last year there were a lot of students who weren't performing well, who were told that they weren't performing well through the test analysis that was sent out to them. And I or any other faculty have always assisted those students who have come back to us asking for it. So this year, only if the child comes back to the teachers, he or she will be able to utilize the support structure. If the support structure is imposed on them, I don't think it will be a fruitful affair. There is a support structure. If a student is not performing well, he or she will be assisted. He will be told that he requires assistance, but he will be assisted only if he or she comes back to the teachers.
Okay.
The ownership of learning is with the child. Only if the child takes the ownership, entire system starts working with the child. See, if otherwise whatever is done in class is done indifferentially. Okay, there is no preferences to anyone in the classroom, and then the subject is articulated at a level where everyone will be able to appreciate it. Generally, what happens in a classroom is considering the average of the classroom. It is not taught with the intention of reaching out to the very bright students. Neither it is boiled down to reach out to someone who requires a lot of explanation. It is generally done at a level where it kind of addresses a larger section. If a child requires any specific assistance, it is perhaps made realize. The system itself will reflect the thing to the child, but the child has to take up the ownership of reaching out to the appropriate people to get the assistance from. And that's it. Yeah.
So it was told that there will be a preparatory exam before the final board exams, but as there is no board exam, will the preparatory exam still be there, sir?
They will stand cancelled.
Yes.
So whatever lab exams, they will also be cancelled?
Yes. See, all pertaining to college will be notified to you as per PU department directive, because until unless there is a clear dictatum from the directive from PU department, the colleges cannot take any autonomous decisions. In this regard, whatever PU department says is final.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It's a government decision, so we as training institution and the colleges that you have taken admission into have no role in determining the course of action for your when a PU course is concerned. That's why throughout my presentation I never refer to your PU course activities because it will only be as per the government's directive. All my discussion was concentrated over getting prepped you up for your competitive exams. The subject learning will happen across all necessities, whether it is for your board or IIT, JEE, mains or advanced or any other exam. The subject learning will happen, but the activities of the college are specific to the college and will be as per PU department's directive.
Sir, I had a request, it's a request, not a question, but last year we had a set of faculties with whom we interacted and they know us and we know them, so we're comfortable asking questions and interacting. It would be great if we had the same faculty this year too.
It won't work like that, because generally the second people get rescheduled and set of faculty may not remain the same. That cannot be ensured. But
so then, can we know who are our teachers?
I told you that by evening today you will get to know the thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
As far as I will be teaching in Sadhana. That I know for sure because I got my schedule and then I will be associated with Sadhana. I will be teaching one of the tracks in second year in Sadhana Physics.
That's nice to hear, sir.
Sir, first year, sir? First track.
Sadhana, I'm not sure of the track. I suppose it is track 2 that I will be teaching in Sadhana.
So can we know who the track 1 teacher might be?
I do not know, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. I'm really just curious, sir. Sorry.
I will be teaching track 2 as far as I know in Sadhana. That is something that I can share.
I really hope KMS sir might come.
Pardon?
I really hope KMS sir might come.
I don't know. I do not know.
Okay, sir.
Who will be allotted, but I don't know. I don't think I have taught any one of you in your first year course, have I?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So where were you teaching in first year?
Last year I taught in Rajajinagar.
Okay, sir.
And second year course I was associated with these toppers and then Rajajinagar as well. Anyways, this year I've been asked to.
Sir, please rest assured we will not disappoint you.
It's not about disappointing me. It's about not letting yourselves down. Always bet in. I don't want you to make me proud. I don't care if you make me proud. I don't care if you make the parents proud. I'll care if you don't be proud of yourselves.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir. I had a question.
Yes.
Sir, if by any chance our online classes are going to be cancelled, after this pandemic ends or something, the teachers who are teaching us online are going to be the same who are going to teach us in the offline also, right?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Any other query or can we just conclude?
Any motivating small clip can be played in the morning before starting the class for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is, because to start of the class.
I don't think we have a provision for any such thing, and in the beginning of my narration today, I told my students that you shouldn't look out and patronize anything. All that should be motivating the children is their intent of doing things.
Alright.
Just to round it up, see, we can always look at other people and then hold them as our idols, but maybe it is not a thing to do. Please work for yourselves. I understand a lot of these people have said so many good things, and they have led exceptional lives, but you will get nothing out of envying them or idealizing them. You will get something only when you emulate work culture. Okay, and some of their philosophies are outdated too. So we should look at whatever is there on the table today and work for it. Agree. Anything else? Fine then, it was nice talking to all of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Just for
Looking forward to see you, sir, in class.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to seeing you in class.
forward to teaching you people. Let's make our associate a fruitful one. Okay? Fine then. Let's log off.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It was very nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.